They drop the prepositional phrase and they make the an adverb modifying the verb pen. There's no such thing as a verb pen. But if the pen, which we all knew to be a noun, which was a fact, and that fact was now turned into a verb because it's a to, doesn't that verb fact have to be under a verb law, which is all conditional modification? Every word is going to be, all your nouns are going to have adverbs in front of them in a verb court. And in law, we have what's called, where's that? In law, the fact is one idea of equal value. And one idea of equal value doesn't 2 equal 2 equal 2? If we're going to have a fiction law and a fiction fact and a fiction court, isn't fiction one idea? And in order to have equality to establish a fact, we are going to have a fiction fact with one idea of equal value, and everything doesn't mean anything. We are going to presume, assume, modify, and opinionate every single fact in court, and you're all guilty until you can prove yourself in nonsense. Remember innocence? The in means no. Nonsense is knowledge. You got to go back to your Latin translations. So if you have no knowledge, the law stipulates that if you have no knowledge, you cannot make a contract. If you have no knowledge, you cannot participate. If you don't know how to read and write, you must be incompetent, which means no contract. C-O-M, comes from contract. C-O-M, C-O-N are the same. M and N's are interchangeable. So are E's and I's, and A's and U's, and O's and U's, in your vowels, because they're hollow sounds. When you look at how the languages modify their vowels and modify their consonants, and then take their words and change them. The English language was called Anglo, 500 AC. And Anglo meant to use the reverse of. So the English language was the reverse of. In other words, bastardized the English language. They took the old Greek and the old Latin, and they put a gun to your head and they say, believe this or we'll kill you. So everyone that believed in the truth was killed, and everyone that practiced the fiction was spared. And that's how they manipulated the condition of thinking. You know, Russia killed 80 million people for using prepositional phrases, and 95% of the Hawaiian people were genocided because their Hawaiian language was written in prepositional phrases. You know, when I brought this to the attention of the Hawaiian kapunas, I was elected as their king. I'm not Hawaiian. I'm a white haole from Wisconsin. But I had a math certification that could not be lied about. I was one person who was looked upon as a person that was so far into the truth with a mathematical procedure that I couldn't be corrupted by anybody of their 52 sects. So there was no kapuna that I could obstruct. Any kapuna could come to me and say, Judge David-Wynn Miller, we want you to go ahead and talk to this other kapuna and do it in a mathematical quantum so there was no misunderstandings. And so they elected me king. You know that all kings on planet Earth are judges, and that's how I got to be a judge. I stood up and I say, I'm elected by the kapunas to be king. And as a king, I hereby order this court open as a judge. I did this in Hawaii, and I put 20 judges on trial in Hawaii. And they were found guilty of treason against the people, committing genocide and apartheid against the people of Hawaii. Those judgments were signed, sealed, and delivered to the world. I'm still here, and those judgments are still in place. The ICC was set up, the new International Criminal Court was set up to deal with one thing. If you are a country without a police force, a military, or a prison system, you can bring your case to the ICC, and the ICC controls the Universal Postal Union. There's arm of the Universal Postal Union, better known as the UPU. And the Universal Postal Union controls all postal inspectors and militaries on planet Earth. And they also control Interpol, which just took over all police forces in the United States. Worldwide, they're unifying the police forces. Because we have a mathematical interface of accuracy now, the entire world has the ability to have a one world order in the truth. A one world order of mathematics that articulates the accuracy of language, of contracts, of treaties, of trusts, of the rules and regulations of how courts are practiced and run. And I've stood up at every seminar and told the people, bring forth your arguments, bring forth your challenges, show me your paperwork, and I will absolutely mathematically certify it's fiction, and I'll translate it into a truth. And I will mathematically certify the truth frontwards and backwards in every possible way, and it will still say the same thing. You cannot obstruct truth. When you write a document that is mathematically certified with prepositional phrases and all the sentences are properly balanced, those sentences can be broken apart and read and written frontwards and backwards, and the volition of the document never stays and never changes. So we went ahead and we identified the fiction to be the opinion, the presumption, the assumption, modification, and that resulted in apartheid against we the people. And that apartheid against we the people is an act of discrimination which leads to genocide. Genocide is against the law. All 250 countries on this planet have signed a genocide apartheid treaty. That's why the ICC was established. And with that level of accuracy, they adapted the World Court briefs. They adapted the laws that we had set down at the World Court, our Constitution, and established a new International Criminal Court to take all people that would be in fiction elected by we the people that would go out and damage and genocide us. 6.1 million people are now in prison in the United States with 25 million on probation. That's 10% of our population. Because they don't know how to read and write, and they've used language manipulation to control and damage we the people. But they don't teach us in schools. And every English teacher that stands up and says, I'm going to teach prepositional phrases, they go ahead and they arrest and put in an insane asylum to silence them. If you don't believe me, go back and ask any one of your English teachers about prepositional phrases. Now, when you say, I am a student, and you are identifying yourself to be a verb, you have to maintain two things. It's called the rule of one idea, and your idea must be equal value. If you're am, you called yourself an am, that meant you're identifying yourself a party in your own volition. And the word student is a condition of a person with a title. So you have identified yourself to be a party and a student. So you're studying, you're learning, you're expanding your horizons. If your input is all adverb verb, what is going to be your output? Adverb verb. When you become aware of prepositional phrases, when you become aware that the preposition is the vote of the people, I'll explain that. The people get together we use a prepositional phrase for the people. For is your preposition, God is the article, and people is the noun. Now there's a math formula to establish this. 10 times 1 equals 10. So the preposition, pre means to come before something. We've got to have rules. The rules are going to go ahead and establish to us what we're going to, how we're going to live. We lock the doors and we seal this room and said everyone is going to remain in this room for the next 30 days. And you got the pitchers of water on the table here. Okay, that's going to be your drinking. Where's our food? Well, we're going to have to figure out something. well, let's just suppose we've got food in here too, but we're going to have to set up a society. It would take the combined education of all of us in here to go ahead and set down rules and regulations. And you know what? It would take us about a few minutes to get organized. But we would immediately establish a constitution and set down rules and regulations where the men are going to be, where the women are going to be, where sleeping arrangements are going to take place, how we're going to divide this room up that we can live in this room for 30 days and not kill each other. Seriously. We would organize. All the intelligence of all the learning in this room would come out, and everyone's best case scenario would become very unique. These tables and chairs and cloths and everything in this room would be cannibalized into something practical so that we could survive 30 days without killing each other. So that we would establish rules, and with the best case scenarios, when the rules are done, we're going to vote on those rules. Because it's a preposition of who we are as people. And so we the people would get together with these rules and regulations and put it into a practical application that you all can assimilate. We're going to say the speed limit in our school zone here is going to be 20 miles an hour. And the fine for that is going to be $0. Everybody understands school zones. Everyone has a driver's license in this room, I presume. And with that driver's license, we know we studied about the safety of children. Well, 20 miles an hour is a good speed. If we bump a child, we're not going to kill it, get hurt, but it won't be dead, it won't be dead. We all have children going to the school, so we all vote unanimously that this is a good idea. And the penalty for driving 20 miles an hour is going to be $0. We also assign 40 miles per hour, which would kill a child, a fine of $100 the first time, $200 the second time, and jail the third time. 3 strikes and you're out. You can't live in our society. I don't care how much money you have. You're dangerous. You're going to hurt somebody. So we set down rules and regulations. Who's going to enforce these 20 or the 40? Who's going to get us over here? This is an offer. You know why offer? Offer is spelled with a vowel and 2 consonants. Anytime a vowel appears in front of 2 consonants, it means no. Because 100% of our English language is a condition of modification and obstruction. Codec means no, and fer means contract. I just offer you no contract because everything that's ever been written to you as a contract under an offer has been a modification, therefore I've said nothing to you. I've never given you no facts, I've only given you modifications. But I have to teach you, because I have to communicate to you on a level you understand, and your presumption of the word offer means I'm giving you something. The word is contract is what I'm giving you. So the contract that's been offered here is that if you drive 20, you're going to get nothing. And if you drive 40, you're going to get a $100 fine. If you do it 3 times, 3 strikes, and you're out like baseball. And now you're in jail. We dress you in pink pajamas and feed you starchy food so you don't get lost in your reality of going out for the king. Who's going to command this? Well, we're going to take it before a judge, better known as a leader, that we all would elect. We would have a vote to elect the leader. Because the leader would come back and say, these are the rules, elect me and I'll enforce it. And we have police forces. In olden times, we'll have kings and queens. And they are your enforcers. But what happens here? En means no, enforce means contract. Because no contract is a condition of force. Because you did nothing but modifications. What is the end result? I presume you're all guilty until proven innocent. Because if I'm going to take and modify everything in language, as it's been for 8,500 years, I don't have a contract, therefore the only thing I've got is force. I've got a club and I've got a gun. And because I can control your fear I can control you as people. This is what a judge does. So we're going to go ahead now and look at the offer, the acceptance, and the compliance. What is a contract? It's an offer. I'm offering you rules and a vote. To get over here to a compliance of matter, we have to go before somebody that's going to certify our position. The king, the queen, the judge, and make that contract binding and order that contract to take place. If there's a dispute between rules that we all agree to, we have a contract under unity, this person, the judge, is going to go ahead and say, you're right, you're wrong. Because anybody who comes into the court with a presumption and not a fact is not going to be in a location or a position to prove his argument. Now, to show you what happens here when we remove things, we're going to say the people. We're going to remove this here, so we got 0 times 1 in math that equals 0. I just remove my preposition. I stand up there and say, I'm the judge, you're going to do what I tell you. You're going to say, wait a minute, where's the rules? We didn't vote on it. Who elected you to be the judge? You can't just stand up there and command us. So, well, I got a gun here. Everybody, do your thing. Do what I tell you. That's what a holdup is. Bank robbery. Rape. Here's a rape. It's where you use force to control a conditional response of thinking of something that is unnatural. That's what a rape is. And if I make a presumption of the fact by putting a modifier in front of the people, I just said, this is an adverb. Because of prepositional phrase breaking apart, this now becomes the adverb modifying the verb people. And there is no such thing as a verb people. You're a fiction. You're nouns, not verbs, you're nouns. And the minute I modifies you, I turn you into something you're not. And if you're a fiction, you must be dead. And what do we do to dead people?
Names in capital letters.
We nom de guerre. We give them a war name, a dead name, a fiction name, better known as a placidium. We capitalize your name in all uppercase, so we make sure you're dead. And dead people can't make contract, and dead people have no rights. And where do we put dead people? We put them in probate court. And dead people can't own property, so therefore we make sure we give you contracts that are written in modifications so they say nothing. We give you federal reserve, RE meaning no, serve contracts, no contract paper. But so that you believe your no contract paper, we have a military to guarantee your no contract paper will be enforced. That's why we have a military. If there was no military or no contract paper, would be good for forest fires. Because we burn up all the paper. So the people now become the verb. It was a condition of modification. We have no contract with no people. So we say nothing. Therefore, when you take away all your speed limits, all your voting, and all your rules, then I stand before you as a presumption. Without that preposition to make me, elect me as a judge, I'm not a judge here. I was elected as a judge by the people, by the proponents. And by everyone else that comes into my courtroom has to sign a contract. It's called the Title 28, Section 636. It appoints me to be a judge for one thing, to correct nouns and verbs and the procedures of language, not the subject matter by which we came, which you believe exists, until we establish the facts of who you are. It still falls to a presumption. If we go ahead now and we take this math problem and we drop the article and we say 4 people. Now we've got 10 times 0 equals 0. And 4 also loses its prepositional phrase status and now becomes the adverb. modifying the verb people. And what are we left with? The same condition. You're a dead null negare. You don't exist. Everything you read, write, and contract with doesn't exist. Nothing moves without contract. Nothing moves without the facts. And the facts have to be rules and regulations that are agreed upon by both parties. That they have a contract so that the condition of enforcement can be certified to get to the matter. Offer, acceptance, compliance. The three factors of a contract. So the prepositional phrase through this math interface certifies its location and position in argument. When I hold court as a judge, I tell the world of fiction, come forward with your facts or vacate your positions. They don't come to court. There are no judges or attorneys here today, or politicians or police officers. They were all invited. This is publicized. You know why? Because they were threatened if they show up, they'll be disbarred. They'll lose their license. They'll be kicked off the force. Because they'll have an education that will prove that they're practicing a lie, initiating genocide and apartheid against we the people. And with that knowledge, under Title 42, 1986, they must stop and correct. And if one stops and corrects, they also have to stop and correct their own life. They practice a lie. As long as they can presume anything, then they'll always be right. 3 plus 3 equals all numbers in the world, infinity, except sex and presumption. So how many ways can we be wrong? Well, if infinity is weighed against 1, then they said, well, infinity is a bigger value than 1. And so we can go ahead and we can always win in infinity, but we can never win in the truth, in the 1. But then, what are we all about? Everyone here looks themselves in the mirror in the morning and says, I'm the guy looking at myself, I'm the 1. I believe in who I am, and I want to protect that existence of who I am. I have value as the 1. So why doesn't the 1 stand up as a noun and be a value as a 1? And when 2 to come together, you now have a certification. And when 3 come together, you have an authorization. And when 4 ones come together, you have a class action. And nobody can make a class action go away. So when I stand up as a judge and I have 4 or more people sign a contract with me to say, Judge David-Wynn Miller, you are a judge and we are as a class action filing a complaint, hold trial and put these facts on trial, and write them in a quantum interface using prepositional phrases and identifying the values, then the statements become real. The law becomes real, and this is translatable into all 5,000 languages, and it will not be modified. You can't modify the prepositional phrase certifying this statement. If your language does not possess a preposition or does not possess an article, then I will go ahead and I will assign an English prepositional phrase and give them a definition. The definitions of what a preposition is published. The definition of the article is published. The definition of the noun is the fact. If I hold this pen up in front of 5,000 different speaking languages, whatever sound they make, whatever volition their mind conceives this object to be, it will be this object. But when we take this object identification and put it on a piece of paper, we need the prepositional phrase to identify the 1 in 900 definitions that are going to take this noun and convey it by paper to somebody else, because that other person won't have eye contact or physical awareness of the identity. Question?
You said the English use of articles is better than saying another language.
All right. Let's go. I know you speak Spanish, so. better known as the pen, right? Of the pen. English is of the and pen. So we got a prepositional phrase. Yeah, if I was going to say it's for the pen, what's for? Spanish. Por, P-O-U-R. For el pen, for the pen. You see, pen still becomes a noun for the pen, of the pen, is with the pen, by the pen.
There's actually two ways to say for, isn't it? For, P-O-R, and para, P-A-R-A.
P-O-R?
P-O-R, and another way.
Oh, French is pour. P-O-U-R is French, and P-O-R.
There's two meanings for para and para in Spanish. They have like different uses.
Well, the use, any single word cannot be identified unless, if you put it against another word, then you have multiplications. So you won't know what this word is because no one word is used by itself. I can say for the pen or of the pen or by the pen. I can give you, make this into a noun. What are we going to do with it? Who owns it? Where are we going to go with it? The article the L is the condition of ownership for your pen, for my pen, for his pen, for her pen, for our pen. See? Now we get into commanding specifics about the identity of this. And then by changing the preposition, the articles then become relevant to the ownership of the prepositions. Is going to be the votes, the rules by which this is going to be. Is it of our pen, of your pen, of her pen, of these pens? That's why you have 900 definition variables for your nouns. But the definitions must be in now time. That reduces it to 7 articles and 14 articles and only 7 prepositions. So now we have only 100 definitions. We can go 900, but we're going to be outside of quanta, outside of now time. So you must coordinate all of your contract efforts to do one thing: establish the facts in the now time. Because now is the only place where contract exists. That way your contract is always performed, and everything on this planet is a maritime issue. My body is a vessel. You're a vessel. This planet is a vessel. This building is a vessel in dry dock, sitting on land that is owned by the post office. Because the post office is responsible for all bills of lading. So the bills of lading are the title to the land. The land was here first under title, and the building was placed on top. This building could be raised, another one placed in front in its possession, location. And at the same time, this building can be moved. It's a vessel. So what country holds title to the vessel of this building? Puerto Rico does. All courthouses in the United States are titled as vessels in dry dock, and Puerto Rico holds the title. Then go to your world map and look at Puerto Rico, United Kingdom, United States. Joint treaty. So if the title to this building is a vessel in dry dock, and that dry dock has a charter as a vessel to Puerto Rico, the Puerto Rico Constitution applies, not the United States Constitution. When you walked into this room under the Unity-States flag, the flag on that wall was copyrighted by me and Jeff Skiba, and copy claimed on July 24th, 1999. On August 11th, 1999, that flag, because the United States defaulted, was given to Jeff Skiba and I because we filed a mathematical interface on language in now time and said no one on this planet has ever claimed that flag, and we published it. And you know what? No legislation, Congress, Senate, President, or a country on this planet disputed that, and all 190 members of the United Nations said Jeff Skiba and David Miller own that flag. because they were the first ones to articulate its description at a 1 to 1.9 in a math interface frontwards and backwards. With that level of accuracy,